This podcast is sponsored by Joy Greenberg, independent wellness advocate for doTERRA products. Hey, Allison, I have a riddle for you.
All right.
What is made up of wild orange, clove bud, cinnamon bark, eucalyptus leaf, and rosemary leaf essential oils and used all over by schools and families?
On Guard essential oil.
You are correct.
Oh. On Guard is chemical-free and natural and supports our immune system and kills off harmful bacteria and viruses.
Listeners of this podcast who sign up for a no-obligation wholesale account through Joy will receive a free beginner's kit of lemon, lavender, and peppermint, along with a list of 101 uses. But remember, you have to sign up through Joy. She's our sponsor. So go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, click on Sponsor Offers, and follow the simple instructions on our site. So easy, right, Allison?
It is.
And now let's get to today's episode. Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Allison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We are starting this episode like we did the last one with a brief but significant piece of information. We are kind of having I don't know, what would you call it, Allison? A contest?
Yeah, I'd call it a little contest, I guess.
I guess.
Or input?
Input. We need input. We need input. Yeah. So in the beginning of the last episode, we talked about how we're looking for a name for our fans, kind of like other podcasts call their fans by a cute little name, or famous people call their fans by something. Can you think of somebody famous who does that, Allison?
I want to say there is
Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
Something.
What does she call her fans? She calls them, like, I'm going to get this wrong and my son is going to call me and be freaked out. Doesn't he call them her little monsters or something?
Oh, her little monsters.
I'm sorry. I want to apologize to my child
so
if I'm
sorry.
wrong. Yeah.
I want to apologize to Lady Gaga if we got
We love you, Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
You can also feel free to have us guest with you on something. But yeah, they have these cute little names for their fans. And I have listened to podcasts, as I said on the last episode, where they do that too. They have a name for their fans. We want a name for you. We want a cute little name for you. So please go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. Go to the contact form. Just send us what you think you all should be called in that contact form. And you never know what might land in your lap as a thank you from us.
Yeah.
Right, Allison?
Yeah, we're pretty generous. So
we really believe in
and I know you got.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we believe.
Oh, go ahead.
We're stepping on each other. All right, you go.
I know. Now I don't remember what I was going to say. So you go.
Okay, I'll go. We really believe in being generously thankful for you. So you never know what'll happen if the one that wins. So please go into the contact form, send that to us through our website. We are ending this, what did we call it? Competition, contest.
That's input.
We're ending this input cycle, feedback cycle next week on December 23rd. Happens to be my son's birthday. Big shout out to you again, Mike. So we're going to end it then and see what you all came up with. And hopefully there'll be something that Allison and I can use from here on in on the podcast and on our social media and wherever you can find us, because you can also find us on Facebook. We have a page.
Yeah. Stop.
Right.
Rusty's biting me.
Her dog is biting her, so I'm just going to keep talking.
Well, I was also thinking, I think this episode is airing on Rusty's birthday.
Is it?
16th, right?
Yes.
I think it is. Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Rusty. If anybody is ever curious, if anybody's curious what Rusty looks like, his picture happens to be in the About Us page of our website. So you can go to howpreschoolteachersdoit.com and check out me and Allison and, more importantly, Rusty. More importantly, yes.
Steals the show sometimes, yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, we're going to stop talking about this now so that we can talk about a more serious topic. Something that I see happen quite frequently, not only in schools, but pretty much anybody who's interacting with a young child. Sometimes children can be a little dramatic. Should we call it dramatic?
Yeah, let's call it dramatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll call it dramatic. And I've seen adults accuse them of faking crying, that they're fake crying. And it's true. Sometimes children are making crying sounds and there are no tears. And I remember saying that to my own children when they were young. I don't see any tears. But right. I think that we have to point out that that's not the point. Right? Children, when they do that, are trying to tell you something because all behavior is communication.
Right. And I feel like there is some sort of emotion behind that fake crying, if you want to call it that. There's got to be something. Something's bugging them. Something's bothering them. Something they can't figure out how to tell you. So they're just going to do what they know how to do to get your attention. And that's that. So,
they have figured out that when they actually cry, they get attention.
Right. And that you help them when, so it works. So I would treat what is fake crying as just like I would real crying, try to figure out what's wrong, what's happening, why are we upset, and then try to solve the problem with them.
I know
you might not
go ahead.
No, but you can try to help them through it just like you would if they were crying over something else and not being dramatic. Sorry, Rusty.
Yeah, I also think, well, you take care of that. I'll continue. We're busy stepping on each other's talking anyway, so we'll let Rusty tell us when to take turns.
Yeah.
I think, fake crying, it's not, we need another name for it. We need the child is emoting. I don't know. The child, right? Like we need a different, because the word fake just gives it such a negative thing, and it's neither negative nor positive. It just is. And we have to deal with the fact that the child's seeking our attention. I think anyway, the absolute worst thing we can do is mock that.
Yes. And I've seen that where an adult will then also fake cry to get the other. I saw this video of a dad that does that, which is
fake cries back.
He fake cries back and it gets his daughter to laugh, but then you have no idea why she was upset to begin with. It just kind of avoids the whole problem. And then it is mocking them. But then if you are doing it as an adult, then they're going to be like, hey, this is an appropriate thing to do. I'm just going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's instead of actually helping them to grow and learn how to solve the problem.
Yeah, you're right. Because there was a problem to begin with that you've now sort of swept to the side.
Right.
And I
think, to get them to stop.
Right,
instead of actually helping them.
I think we don't always enjoy children's emotions and we don't always know what to do with it. Right. And don't you think when a child does that, oftentimes an adult doesn't know what to do with it, so they try to just negate it. It's kind of like when kids are scared too. Very often we don't know what to do with it. And so we just try and go, there's nothing to be scared of. And
there's nothing to be scared of.
Right.
Yeah.
And we try to sweep it under the rug when really we need to be talking to children about how they feel. And when that child is doing that crying sound without actually crying, I think the question for the child should be, what's going on?
Yeah.
What do you need?
What's happening?
Right? Why are you sad? I don't think it helps to make fun of them. On our last episode, Allison did such a great job comparing something we do with kids to something we wouldn't want done as adults. And I think that this is the case here too. Sometimes, folks, sometimes we as adults are rather dramatic.
Well, I was rather dramatic yesterday in my own life because I've had a really rough week. Okay, so in the middle of watching TV, I just got overwhelmed and a couple tears did come out. I have no idea why. I was just overwhelmed.
Because you're human. Because sometimes we even feel sad and we don't know why. And because you needed to release energy that way. And that's fine. And I think, if you're sitting there are times where I have been tired, annoyed, and something happens and my emotions are kind of not in sync with the level they should be. How would I like it if somebody mocked that? I wouldn't like that at all.
Like if Rusty, stop. See, even Rusty, he does it. Okay. If somebody last night was sitting next to me mocking me while that happened, I don't think I would have been very nice about it, to be honest. Like, I think I just needed to do it for 5 minutes. I got it out, and then I was fine.
You know what happens when we mock children? They start to mock other people. So when we make fun of them and we mock them and we imitate them in a way that's really mean-spirited, it's no wonder that they do that to their siblings, to their cousins, to their classmates. It's no wonder that they become children who tend to use mocking as a default. So I'm just going to say, whenever you have the urge to do that, because we were all kind of raised that way, and we grew up in societies or at a time in society where that was kind of okay to make fun of kids that way, just keep in mind that that's why they treat each other the way they do, because they've seen it. Don't do it. Go to the heart of the emotion. Right? They're trying to express something. Let's talk about reasons, Allison, why children sometimes over-dramatize sadness, which is really what they're doing. Or they over-dramatize frustration.
Well, I think they don't know how to express that is what they are feeling. Those are strong, complicated emotions. So I feel like, why wouldn't you just cry over it? Because you don't know the words to use to express it.
Or like we said before, they're seeking attention. They know crying gets them attention, right? If they're outside and they fall on the sidewalk and they scrape their knee and they're screaming and crying, adults run right over.
True.
So it's worked in the past to scream.
It works.
Or to whine or to cry. People have paid a lot of attention to that. And a lot of times very young children can't figure out the difference. What's the difference between when that happened and when I'm sitting here right now whining at you the same way, trying to get your attention?
Right.
Something I say very frequently to people when adults will look at me and say, he's just trying to get my attention. I'll just look at them and go, that's right. He's just trying to get your attention. What do you need to do?
Yeah.
You need to pay attention. Yeah. You need to pay attention.
Yeah.
I was with a group of kids the other day. I was visiting a school. I was with a group of kids the other day, and they were their behavior was a scream for attention. And as soon as they realized I was going to give them attention, they were all over me. There were maybe, I don't know, there were maybe like 9 or 10 kids in there. It felt like 20 or 25 because they just couldn't get enough of me paying attention to them.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about, folks. They're seeking your attention. And I never, ever want a child to feel like if you're feeling highly emotional, adults aren't going to attend to that.
Right. And I feel like people think like getting attention sometimes is like a bad thing. But why do people think that? Why do they think that like, oh, he just wants attention? Like, no, they're kids. They want acknowledgement. They want attention. They want a relationship is probably what they want. They need a relationship. They need something. Why are we ignoring that?
Because we were raised that way.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's generational. I'd like to just say, Mom, this is not a commentary on your parenting. It's generational. People didn't know. And, we come from a history of, when you look back generations, the history is children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
Then the next sort of development was something like, don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. Right? Like, so we've spent generations of don't come over here with that.
Yeah.
And we're the product of those generations. And so we tend to default to what we know or what we've experienced without really thinking it through. But in today's world, we know a whole lot more about emotional intelligence than we did even when I was raising my kids who are in their 20s.
Yeah.
That's always my apology to my children for anything I may have done without knowing or thinking that it was bad for them. We didn't know, but today we do know. And we do know the damage that it does to a child's psyche to make fun of them, to make fun of their emotions, to shut their emotions down, and to not give them the attention that they are just begging you for.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they have to, sometimes it's true. Sometimes you have to look at your kids and say, not now. Not right. now. We'll do that later. We're in the middle of something and we'll do that later. They do have to learn all that.
Yeah.
But if the child is emoting such drama, something is happening.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a major event, by the way. Something that really bothered that child.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's just like confusion. Like, I don't know how I feel and I don't know how to tell anybody and I don't know what to do about it. Like overall confusion.
Yeah.
Overwhelming. They're just overwhelmed by something. They don't know what it is,
I'm always asking adults when they talk to me about children's behavior, including this alleged fake crying. I'm always saying to them, well, what's the message behind it? What's the child trying to tell you? Because again, all behavior is communication. I know listeners to this podcast hear me say that all the time. I want you to know that in my professional life, it is something I say all the time. Whether I'm teaching about child behavior or going into schools or doing teacher trainings or even writing, it's something that I repeat consistently because it's something that I think adults have a hard time accepting.
Yeah.
They're always trying to tell you something, figure it out. When the child does that crying that we deem as fake, the crying might not be so real, but the emotion is.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard work as an adult to sometimes figure that out. So sometimes I wonder if some adults are just like, oh, let's just ignore her. She's just faking it, instead of actually getting to the root of the problem, because that takes it can be very difficult to get to the root of the problem sometimes, especially if you have a child who doesn't know how to communicate it. You're not going to figure it out right away. But once you do that work, I feel like you'll have a really good relationship with that child. And then, maybe some of this, what you're considering to be fake crying, will kind of slow down or stop once you can get a communication going with them.
I love that you keep referring to relationship because that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
How are you ever forming a relationship with these children if you make fun of them? You're not.
Yeah.
Or if you ignore them. Right. Or you ignore them. You're not. You don't form relationships that way. And we're not going to do that with children if that's what we do. So we have to sum up. Allison, you want to sum up?
Sure.
Look, she's a little shocked.
I am, because I'm like half paying attention. Okay. And I sometimes I don't always remember like what we started.
What were we talking about? We were talking about fake crying.
Fake crying. Yeah. Well, sometimes we go so like roundabout. I want to say that I think the best way to deal with fake crying is to pretend it's not fake, because it's not fake. There's some sort of emotion behind there. So treat it like it's real crying, even if they are being dramatic and it's a little fake. It's something is behind it, and try to communicate more and form a relationship. Even Rusty agrees.
Rusty is communicating more. Maybe you should check out his crying.
Check him out.
Okay, and we will just trust in the fact that if you're listening to this, you're on a podcast app where you can give us 5 stars, rate us a 5, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you next time.